Holy Innocents Anglican Church. Is situated at the Welshman Hall, St. Thomas. Holy Innocents Church. Destroyed by the hurricane of 1831 and rebuilt and rededicated in 1838. Rebuilt in 1838 and rededicated in 1839. So Holy Innocents Church at Ashford and St. Thomas. This Ashford is spelled Ayshford. This is the church cemetery where I have lots of family laid to rest in here. So this is where they bury the people now. The people have to be laid down in here. No. So family dating back to my great grandmother, Anki. They used to refer to her as Anki. She died before I was born. She died in 1987 at the age of 95. Yeah, 94. She would have been 95 in June. She died in May 1987. The rest of family used to refer to her as Anki. Her name was Keelan Levine. She was laid to rest here, as well as my great-grandfather, Joseph Levine, who they refer to as Jojo, who passed away since 1956, well before my mother was born, and half of my family was born. Only people that would know about him is my first two aunts and great uncles would know about him. But my mother was far from born yet. Also, they have my second aunt, Glendine Levine, who passed away in 2015 October and was laid to rest on my birthday, my 23rd birthday, my 22nd birthday, Glendine. Also, Golda Delcina Brown. She was one of my last relatives that buried here. She was a second cousin of mine. She died on the 24th of December 2023 and was laid to rest on the 17th of January 2024. Clemmie Mondell Walker, a relative of my relative. So she become like kind of family. And her brother Norman Boyce, the one who discovered the cave, one of the first discoverers of the cave. So Clemmie Mondell Walker, she was a Boyce first. So she will be a kind of in-laws to me. My cousin, she will be her grandmother, who is the principal of the Alma Parish School now. She will be her grandmother. And Norman Noel Boyce, known to many as Pompey, would have been her brother. He was the brother of Clemmie Mondell Walker. He was one of them who founded the cave, who discovered the cave, one of the first staff in Harrison's cave. Marion Hamblin, that would be James' wife. I also know who she is already, as well. Sorry. So I have lots of family in this churchyard. Lots. My great uncle Gorman Levine, Eustace Gorman Levine, also laid to rest here. Elvis Levine, also another relative of mine, laid to rest here. My great aunt Shug, whose name was Sis Virginia Drakes, also laid to rest here. I have a lot of ancestors buried in this churchyard, lots. So this is where they bury the people now, since the cemetery over here is filled. The people are now laid to rest down here. The church here. So this is Ashford Long Road. Down the road here now will be leading you back to back to Ashford Long Road, the Long Road itself. They used to do racing down here years ago. And down below Ashford will be Hopewell. Hopewell is just below here. Hopewell, St. Thomas. And then it will lead you back to Jack and the Box Gully. And it will lead you back down to town, down to Bridgetown. So right now we're in the countryside, here in the parish of St. Thomas. St. Thomas is known as the heart of Barbados, or the central uplands of Barbados. There is no sea nor coastline in these parishes. This school building here. All pasture where the cows are. Vacant lots for sale. So this pavement was placed here between late 2013 or early 2014. So that the school students wouldn't have to be having difficulty walking the street, having to deal with oncoming traffic. Now look at the school building with the mural graphic on it, which was done by Miss June Connell in 2005, depicting things in St. Thomas. You can see Mr. Lester Vaughan here, who was the principal of Holy Innocents Primary School back in the 1950s and 60s. He's also laid to rest in the churchyard. You can see the Harrison scale here at the end here, with the stalagmites and stalactites. Harrison's Cave is over here. You can see, so each of these murals depict St. Thomas, something in St. Thomas. Lester Vaughan reading to the school students. The monkey here is at Welshman Hall Gully. The windmill here is supposed to be Sturgis Plantation. St. Thomas, Welshman Hall Gully is in St. Thomas. The top bound through the village, through Sturgis, St. Thomas. Over here is Welshman Hall Gully again. And the sign here saying the heart of Barbados. That is what St. Thomas is referred to as, the heart of Barbados. So, as I said before, St. Thomas and St. George are the two landlocked parishes here in Barbados that are best referred to as the heart of Barbados or the central uplands of Barbados. My first two aunts went to school here. Well, not my great grandmother. My great grandmother went to school at Sturgis Primary, which is no longer in operation. Sturgis Primary is now defunct. Sturgis Primary was back in the 1800s. My grandmother was born in the late 1890s, 1892 I think, to 1987. That would be my great grandmother. So for my grandmother down, which is Marjorie Levine Mears, my grandmother moved to St. Joseph, so my grandmother is not buried here. My grandmother is buried at St. Anne's Church in St. Joseph. And my great grandmother went to school at Sturgis Primary. That school closed down ever since, Sturgis Primary. My grandmother buried at my grandmother went to school. My great grandmother went to school at Sturgis Primary. Yeah, man, yeah. My great grandmother went to school at Sturgis Primary. And the headmistress at the time was Florence Springer, who was Hugh Springer, the Governor General, Hugh Springer. Mother, Florence Springer, was the principal at Sturgis Primary at the time when my grandmother was going to school there. Florence Springer was the principal at the time when my grandmother was going to school at Sturgis Primary. So, as I said before, all under here is Harrison's Cave. The cave runs all under here. That is where they said that many services going on in the church, that the organ from the church vibrates into the cave, causing a vibration in the cave. So I'm in the countryside, as I said before, in the heart of Barbados. I'm in the countryside, and you can feel all the country evening breeze blowing on me all night. I will walk to the churchyard again. So I will walk to the section of the churchyard, which is by the yeah. I will walk to the section of the churchyard, which will be like closest. It should be like in the church itself. I'll show you guys the other half of the cemetery. I'm going to show you the cemetery itself, which is within the church confines. The church. This is the section of the churchyard for people who died of cholera, who died from the cholera outbreak. They will be laid to rest in here. So that's why they don't bury people up here anymore, because that will cause a disruption and health issues and so on. So this is the cholera section here. The other cholera sections, cholera grave sites in Barbados, such as the one at St. Stephen's Church in Black Rock, Shera Moravian Church, which is just down the road here, in St. Thomas as well. There's one at St. Matthew's Church, which is at Jackman's in St. Michael. One at St. John Parish Church, and one at St. George Parish Church. So, back at the churchyard again. As I said before, they do not bury people out here in here anymore, except if it's a boy grave or a family grave. The grave of W.T. George Gooding and his wife Mildred Gooding, and their children Jeffrey and Sheila. Doris and Theo Nearwood and Louis and Theo. Clarence Yearwood or really Freddie Yearwood. Eustace Charles Graves, MBCM, who died on the 7th of October 1938 at the age of 73. And his wife Maggie, who died on August 3rd, 1967. Francis Gwendolyn Thorne and John H.C.C. Thorne and Muriel Elaine Thorne. The Innes family grave are Vivian Innes, Frederick James Innes, Sarah Ann Richards, Ernest Henry Henderson Innes, John Coleridge Innes, James Reginald Bertram Innes, William King Innes, Hannah Lilita Innes, and Hubert Manning Innes, Marion Walker Innes. All the Innes family buried here. So this is inside the beautiful. This church is more Gothic, more Georgian and less Gothic. As you can see, the design is more Georgian. The grave of Margaret Williams, wife of John W. Carrington of Ratchmore Hall, St. Thomas, who died the 3rd of November 1881 at the age of 67. John W. Carrington, who died the 22nd of January 1889 at the age of 53. Walter Philip Smith, who died the 16th of June 1918 at the age of 82, and his wife Elizabeth Price Trotman, who died the 24th of October 1914 at the age of 76. Walter Codrington Carrington Smith, born the 15th of June 1873 and died the 7th of December 1956, from Olivia and Phoebe Worrell. Also his wife Olive Worrell, born the 10th of February 1886 and died the 6th of November 1960. Beatrice Lyle Smith, born the 10th of March 1872 and died the 10th of December 1922. And Phoebe Worrell Smith, born the 30th of January 1871, died the 21st of December 1962. So the church bell was in here, no longer is. This is the multi-purpose center where the members can have their social activity and social gathering. The vicarage over here, which was once the rectory, the vicarage where the priest used to live. The current priest doesn't live here, so they only use it for functions. The red oak tree. And behind here is all greenery. The school building here and the church bell. This bell used to be up in here before, up until 1989, 1990 when they took it down and placed it in this edifice. This bell used to be rung by the sexton, Collis O'Donnell Daniel, who was also a distant relative of mine, and he was the sexton here from 1941 to 1989, and then he died in 1993. Also, my great uncle Gorman Levine used to be the bell ringer here as well. So the vicarage, Holy Innocents Rectory. People from St. Thomas, especially from this part of St. Thomas, refer to Holy Innocents as Hoyensant. So when we hear the name Hoyensant, you know that that person is from St. Thomas, especially from the Richmond Hall, Sturgis area. Hoyensant, that's what they refer to it as. Hoyensant. The Gill family grave. The vicarage over here where they have the church social activity. So the sun is now going down. As the song was saying, now the day is over, night is drawing nigh, shadows of the evening steal across the sky. Lillian Estelle Jackman, born 1877, October 20th and died January 1st, 1982. Eldika Fedora Thompson, born March 1919 and died the 23rd of November 1999. Florence Teresa Brown died the 20th of June 1973 at 86 years. And Gladstone Theophilus Brown, born 1920 and died in 2000. And Delcina Chlorine Brown, born 1918 and died in 2008. Myrtle Cox. Cuthbert Nichols. Maybelle Eudora Durant. Nee Brooks. The Brooks is another family, well-known family in this churchyard, in this area, in Richmond Hall, St. Thomas area. You can see that the white paint is peeling off, and the original color for the church, is now coming back. The grave here for former organist Hudson Drates, another relative of mine, who was laid to rest here, Hudson the Costa Drates. Clark and Campbell grave. Nora Wright and Christian Mahon. The Mahon family grave. Christian, Julian, Anne, Gerald, and Helen Mahon. George Paris. The grave of former organist Lester St. Clair Vaughan, who was the principal of who was Innocence Primary School as well. Also laid to rest here. Julian Aubrey Mahon and his wife Mabel Louise Mahon. Harold Marshall and his daughter Marguerite Marshall. And his wife. So Holy Innocents is another Anglican church, one of the Bishop Coleridge chapels of Ease, which was built by Bishop William Hart Coleridge, who was the first bishop of Barbados, who came to Barbados in 1825. Holy Innocents Church, the original church, was destroyed by the hurricane of 1831. Then it was rebuilt in 1838 and dedicated in 1839. Holy Innocents is an Anglican church. This road here is known as the Line. It will take you back to Bryan's Road in Welshman Hall, St. Thomas. The Line. And the Vickers Club, which was also the church social center, was here. It was pushed down in 2005, and it was also the boys' school for Holy Innocents, and the girls' school was down here, where the mural graphic is now. So outside it's getting dark, the sun is going down. You can see the moon out. So all under here is Harrison's Cave. As I said before, Harrison's Cave is now owned by Chucker from Jamaica since the 9th of July 2021. Discovered in 1970 by Danish paleologist Ole Sorensen and Barbadian Tony Mason, who together dug their way through the cave, swimming through 7 narrow holes and tunnels back in the 1970s. And then in 1981, on the 28th of November, the cave was then opened as a tourist attraction by the Prime Minister of the day, Tom Adams, who was also the parliamentary representative for St. Thomas, and he was the Minister of Finance at the time. The cave offers tram rides, showing you through the cave, where you will see stalagmites and stalactites, $46 per entry. And the cave has a zip line now, and a swimming pool and other stuff. Since Chucker took over it, the government leased it or sold it to them on the 9th of July 2021. So I believe now that here endeth my videos of Holy Innocents Anglican Church at Welshman Hall. At Welshman Hall, St. Thomas. Between Welshman Hall and Ashford, preferably called Ashford. Thank you guys for watching now, and have a blessed and a wonderful good evening. As night approaches, no, it's when I'll be wrapping up this segment of the video. Thanks for watching now, guys. And do have a blessed